Volodymyr Zelensky has accused some Arab leaders of turning a blind eye to Russia's invasion ahead of his expected appearance at the G7 summit in Japan. It is thought the Ukrainian president will arrive in Hiroshima on Sunday in a bid to secure further military support for a planned counteroffensive. On Friday, Mr Zelensky was in Saudi Arabia for an Arab League summit. Of the Arab League nations, only Syria has openly supported Russia's invasion. Other member nations have sought to maintain good relations with Moscow. Unfortunately, there are some in the world and here among you who turn a blind eye to those prisoner of war, cages and illegal annexations, said Mr Zelensky. I'm here so that everyone can take an honest look. No matter how hard the Russians try to influence, there must still be independence. Mr Zelensky also told the assembled leaders in Jeddah that his country was defending itself from colonizers and imperialists, appearing to invoke the Arab world's own history of invasion and occupation. Host nation Saudi Arabia has walked a delicate line on the conflict, on the one hand supporting a UN resolution calling for Russia to withdraw its troops and pledging $400 million in humanitarian aid to Ukraine, while on the other hand resisting imposing sanctions on Russia, preferring to see itself as neutral on the conflict. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman renewed his offer for Saudi Arabia to mediate between Moscow and Kyiv to end the fighting at the summit. Syria meanwhile has only just been readmitted to the Arab League. Its leader Bashar al-Assad told the summit there was an historic opportunity for the region to reshape itself without foreign interference. Mr Zelensky also took aim at Iran, which is not a member of the Arab League, for supplying Shahed drones to Russia. Iran denies supplying drones for the conflict. The Ukrainian leader is expected to travel from Saudi Arabia to the G7 summit, where he will speak to U.S. President Joe Biden. Mr Zelensky's office told Ukrainian media the two men would meet in the next few days in Japan. The summit kicked off on Friday with a renewed condemnation of Russia and an announcement to further sanctions. The group of 7 nations, made up of the US, UK, France, Italy, Germany, Canada and Japan, represent the world's richest democracies. This year, 8 other countries including Australia and India have also been invited. The trip would be the furthest Mr Zelensky has traveled from Kyiv since the war began in February 2022, and like other trips outside of Ukraine it could pose a potential risk to his safety. But the calculation is that the risk is worth taking if it means securing even more help in his fight against Russia. When a person is somewhere far away, across the ocean, somewhere else, they do not always feel and understand what is happening on the territory of our country. It is the physical presence of our president that is extremely important at such events, said Oleksiy Danilov, the secretary of Ukraine's powerful National Security and Defense Council. In the past few days Mr Zelensky has visited Italy, Germany, France and the UK, where he nailed down promises of military support. He also continues to push allies to provide advanced fighter jets to Ukraine, but so far no country has committed to directly providing them. Once he reaches Hiroshima he will probably try to persuade more cautious leaders to provide aid, such as Japanese PM Fumio Kishida and Indian leader Narendra Modi. By showing up in person, it is a chance for him to ensure he does not come away empty-handed, and that he will head back to Kyiv his arms full with the weapons deals that he wants, including a promise of lethal weapons from Japan, said John Curtin, director of the G7 research group think tank. Though Japan has been hugely sympathetic to Ukraine, its strict military laws have meant that so far it has only given non-lethal defense equipment. Earlier on Friday, G7 leaders were welcomed by Mr. Kishida at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park where they laid wreaths to honor those who died in the U.S. atomic bombing which hastened the end of World War II. The summit's first day ended with a statement in which member countries pledged new steps to stop the war in Ukraine and promised further sanctions to increase the costs to Russia and those who are supporting its war effort. They said they would starve Russia of G7 technology, industrial equipment and services that support its war machine and limit Russia's revenue from energy and diamond sales. Separately, British PM Rishi Sunak told the BBC the UK would sanction the Russian diamond industry, and would target more people and companies connected to Russian President Vladimir Putin. In response to what it termed anti-Russian US sanctions, the Russian Foreign Ministry announced its own set of sanctions on 500 US citizens, including former US President Barack Obama. The G7 summit, which ends on Sunday, is expected to end with a communiqué on the war in Ukraine.